All right. What's up, everybody? Henry Danger, the movie, came out about 2 weeks ago. Maybe, no, 2.5 weeks ago. Almost 3 weeks ago. This was a Nickelodeon movie. It's probably like a PG movie. Why am I reviewing this movie? I don't know. There's a nostalgia about this movie for the character. Uh, got into the show while watching it with nieces, nephews type of things. Uh, Also wanting to know what are these shows like kids are watching these days and stuff. But anyways, the show came out in like 2012, 2013, right? And it went on for good 10 years or so. And it even had this is like the third generation of this movie, right? So Henry was the first generation, and then there was Danger Force. Then there's this girl, Missy. So this movie's kind of about introducing her and then also adding to like Jasper's story and stuff. So it's a decent movie, it's got some new stuff to it. Long story short, do I recommend it? Yeah, I think it's a good movie. Definitely something to watch if you have kids that are old enough, mature enough, I guess. Not like super young, but good movie to watch with them or something, babysitting your nieces and nephews, like I said, or something like that. Yeah, dude, this is like a cool show you can vibe to fucking watching with a younger audience and stuff like that. And it's there's nothing inappropriate in the movie or anything. So, yeah, I like the movie for the most part. So, yeah, I do recommend it. You can watch it on Paramount Plus. I don't know if any of you listening have ever even heard of Kid Danger on Nickelodeon. That's what the original show's from. Or Danger Force or the Danger Verse or anything about these characters. If you already do, probably even watched this movie already. So maybe you might stick around to hear my take on it. Or you have no idea what the show's about. Why is Durden even talking about the show? Never heard of this movie. Well, I could give you some synopsis about it and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, guess we can get into that too. Let me make sure everything's cool on YouTube. It's like we're good to go. Yeah, it looks like everything's fine. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, man. So yeah. The story is basically Henry now lives in dystopia. And, I guess I'm getting another spoiler, Bill. But, without spoilers, it's a good movie. I recommend it. You should go watch it right now. Other than that, if you've already seen the movie and you want to hear my point of view of stuff, I could add some point of view to it. So, you basically have dystopia is where Jasper, Charlotte, and Henry moved after they graduated high school from Swellview in the original show Kid Danger, right? When they turned 18, the show pretty much ended. They all moved to dystopia. And so the movie starts out in dystopia. And it's kind of a weird fictional city. It seems like it's dark all the time. It's always nighttime. So they need like lights to light up the city. And I guess they use nuclear energy to keep the city lit. Yeah, I don't know, maybe that's why it's called dystopia, but kind of a weird place. I don't know if they're like supposed to be like near Alaska or something like that, to where it's just always foggy and dark or something. But that's a description of dystopia. And Henry is a superhero like there. He didn't know who he was, if you've never seen this movie before, you can just pretty much see that he's a superhero there. He had superpowers when he was in Swellview too, as like a teenager. So he basically faked his death and started a new life in dystopia, which is weird. You would think they would hear about him, but he goes by Henry Danger, which is awfully similar to Kid Danger. So kind of weird how Swellview, it's like he says in the movie at one point, they're not the smartest town in America, but he somehow starts a new life, right? You know, his adult life as a superhero too. He's not a sidekick anymore. He's a grown man, you know, doing grown man things. And so he what he does is well, he kind of signs with some watch company or something called BizWatch, some made up company, right? It's supposed to be fancy watches, tech watches or something. And he's kind of doing a partnership with Jasper, who's kind of his sidekick in Dystopia. Jasper, if you don't remember from the original show, at the end of season 5, he develops this power to speak Spanish and do kung fu or something in his sleep or something weird, right? It's like it's Nickelodeon too, so but it's still kind of creative and original and funny and all that. So that's Jasper's superpower, right? He could, when he falls asleep, he could sleepwalk, do kung fu, and speak while speaking Spanish. You know, so he can like kick your ass speaking Spanish to you in his sleep. So if you don't get what I'm talking about, you might have to see the movie. But he's his sidekick, and I guess Henry's getting all the attention, kind of a thing, and Jasper is getting the whole sidekick vibes, which he is. You know, he's a sidekick, and maybe he's getting tired of it or something. He wants to be like an equal to Henry, and kind of you know, yeah, there's that, and then I don't know why there's a cop in the movie, but Jasper likes some cop. I guess that's their point or something. Is he's trying to get, that's the girl of his interest or something. And he likes her. That's pretty much, for some reason, the story wants you to know that he likes this cop, as a female cop, by the way. And he wants to impress her by beating this villain called Blackout. And Blackout's some guy that likes to steal the nuclear energy so that Dystopia can't have power. And Blackout kind of is on the way there, and Jasper knows it. More so than probably Henry. I guess Henry's too busy being a celebrity and a superstar and doing a photo shoot and signing a new contract deal with BizWatch and all that stuff, right? So all that stuff. And his sister and Schwaz come to visit, I guess. And his sister Piper's now like an adult too. She's like 18 now or something. In the original show, she was just like a little child. She was like the 5-year-old sister, 6-year-old sister that was always telling on brother kind of thing. And she ends up becoming a huge part of the show as the years went on. Even part of his secret identity as a superhero, because she ends up finding out her brother's a superhero. And so that's kind of like the story of Piper, you know, and her whole role in the story. Schwaz was like the mad scientist guy that kind of created everything for Captain Man and Kid Danger. Captain Man was kind of the original main character of this whole story, which was created by Dan Schneider a long time ago, way before Dan Schneider got fired and all that. So that's like what this brand is. Jace Norman, the guy who plays Henry Hart, aka Henry Danger, pretty much bought the show, and he produces it. So the main character, the main actor in this movie is also the the owner of the show, of the movie and stuff too. So he's not really like Jace Norman, the actor producer, isn't really big on acting anymore. I think he's kind of just trying to get into like producing. Just side note of that, you know. So the sister and Schwaz are visiting him. They want to go see a movie. He doesn't. He doesn't. Show up or something because he's too busy at his bizwatch thing. And Jasper's too busy getting ready to fight Blackout, so they kind of get ignored and pushed to the side. And I guess like Blackout shows up, turns all the power off and everything. And of course, Jasper gets into a fight with him. And eventually, Henry shows up from the meeting because, the city's lights went out. So he shows up to save the day, right? And pretty much does. Jasper sits back and watches as he finishes them. And, saves the day, knocks him, I don't know, into another building or something weird. And the power comes back on and everything. And pretty much Jasper's upset because the BizWatch meeting didn't go that well, where he was kind of like cast aside from from being like the star of the brand or something. So he kind of, they get into like a fight, and kind of how that ends. Like, I don't know if he's still going to be friends with Jasper. Like, Jasper wants to go do his own thing or something, and still wants to be his friend or whatever. But it seems like Henry doesn't really want to fucking, he wants to just be a loner or something, dude. He doesn't really want to, like, he says he's too busy to hang out with Schwaz and his sister. And so he pretty much goes home to where, where he kind of, I don't know if he lives in the BizWatch building or something. But Blackout's there, of course. He's still alive. He's not dead. And kicks Henry out the window, and he falls into like the portal that Missy created. I haven't talked about Missy yet. So, by the way, the score of this movie is really cool. It's almost like Back to the Future premiere, like Hollywood sound effects and visuals, dude. This is actually pretty good CGI and all that shit. And he falls into some portal and he ends up in Missy's room. So who's Missy? Missy is a super fan of Captain Man and Kid Danger. That's a little kid. She grew up liking them, looking up to them, reading about them in the paper. So she's got an obsession with them, and she thinks Henry's dead because, of course, he dies in the show. Fakes his death, moves to dystopia, etc. So she thinks he's dead, and she thinks in order to like save her town, which she lives in a different town, not Swellview, she lives in Newtown. She believes she can bring him back to life and save Newtown, and they can fight crime together. It's like her imagination. This girl has a hell of an imagination, by the way. She writes a book as well, apparently since she was 5 years old. And it's like a fan fiction book of like many make-believe stories with her and Kid Danger fighting crime. And somehow she knows who Jasper and Charlotte and Piper are. And somehow knows his identity. Apparently she figured this out at the age of 5 or so. Kind of weird. Kind of a plot hole in my opinion, but somehow she knows who these people are from a whole different town. Like, he's a superhero, so he has a fake identity, but she's somehow the only one that figured it out as a kid, which is like a good joke for the movie, because it is kind of like all he's really doing is kind of covering his eyes. So it's like, how can they not figure out who he is? You know what I mean? But like, I don't know, like it's not important, but in the show they used to do this thing where they chew bubblegum and their identity would change, like their hair and everything would change. So they could like hide themselves like that. Somehow this girl figured it out. I don't know. I feel like it's a plot hole. That's cool. She ends up dressing as Kid Danger to steal this thing called the Rad from some secret corporation kind of experimenting on probably antimatter or fucking time travel or something. And she gets this device which I guess can alter reality or something is what it's called. Reality altering device. Apparently, I don't know what this thing's actually capable of, but in this movie, she somehow was smart enough at 14 years old to kind of like connect it to her computer, PC computer, and program it to bring Henry back to life somehow. And then they could fight crime together. And so it works, you know what I mean? Like she does the magic and with this Rad device, and somehow she has her fan fiction book next to it, and it gets somehow sapped into its energy gets sapped into the Rad or something through the computer, and accidentally brings her fan fiction to life too at the same time. So the villains in her book come to life, but at the same time, she's also bringing Henry back to life. And so Henry's there, and he's in his old costume, and he doesn't know where the hell he is, because last he remembered he was in dystopia in his house and fighting Blackout, and now he's like this girl's room in a whole different town. So yeah, he's just kind of freaking out, you know, and she lets him know who she is, what she did. She thinks she's bringing him back to life, but he says, I never actually died. I faked my death. And she's kind of like surprised because she's totally, you know, like the whole meet your hero thing. She totally thought he was somebody else, but he's actually, you know, kind of a selfish loner that doesn't really care as much as she thought he does about helping people or help saving the day and stuff like that. He kind of doesn't really care. It's just like a job to him. And he likes to work alone. So he doesn't really like that she's doing all this stuff, thinking he's going to like hang out with her and help her, because he really does no interest in hanging out with a 14-year-old girl fighting crime in some suburb that doesn't really have that much crime, to be honest. She thinks there's a lot of crime, but it's just a couple bullies. You know, anyways, it just doesn't go her way pretty much. She's got a little sister that always catches her doing shit, but never actually tells on her. Which is, I don't know. She's an innocent little sister. I guess it's somewhat a part of the plot, but not really. But, yeah, she's got a little sister. And pretty much Henry wants to go back to dystopia. He says, I don't know what you did with this fucking device, but do your thing again, magic again, and send me back home. You know, because I don't have time for this fucking shit. You know, and she just says fine. She gives in, and they hear Coach Craig outside, like purse snatching and fucking, you know, I don't know, like just fucking just stealing some lady's purse and not really doing any serious crime, but just. She's like, oh, we got to save that lady. You know, that's Coach Craig. He's actually somehow my fan fiction villains came to life too when I did the Rad thing. And she could reverse it all with like just the press of a button, right? But like she's like, let's just do this one thing where we fight Coach Craig, and then, you know, I could say I fought with Henry Danger. We all go back home. You know, everything's back to normal. So. Yeah, they try to make everything back to normal, and first they got to fight this Coach Craig, right? So I guess he doesn't have his superpowers. Somehow he lost them during her little warping transformation thing, because he's technically in her imagination, in a weird way. So the way she imagined him when she was a kid, she didn't understand how his superpowers worked or anything. She didn't know. So that version of him came into life or something weird. Kind of a weird plot hole, I guess, maybe, but that's kind of how the story keeps going, because he tries to fight Coach Craig, and Coach Craig's just beating the shit out of him, dude. And he refuses to give up, and the girl just keeps asking if she can help him. Let me save you. Let me help you. And he's like, no, I work alone. You know, and he finally gives up because it like goes into the night. She tells him, oh, there's another villain coming. It's a vampire. We need to get out of here. Like, you know, let me help you. So he agrees. She knocks out Coach Craig in one punch. And then the vampire shows up, but the vampire moves all fast, and it's actually his sister as a vampire, because she didn't like his sister because she kicked him out of the Captain Man fan club or something when she was a little kid. So she hates his sister, so she would always write her as a bad person or villain, right? And so she made her like this evil vampire chick in her fan fiction, and the fan fiction chick that came to life steals a crystal that's on the rad that kind of has all the power to like make everything back to normal again, right? So they panic and hit the button thinking the vampire is gonna like kill him or something, and now they're trapped inside her book in her imagination. So that's how the story starts. Henry, Jasper, dystopia, kind of sucked into this girl's world, and now they're trapped in her book. And it's kind of a fun ride, you know. It's kind of chill. They jump into Frankini's nightclub, but it's like her imagination, so it's not like they're not really there, and they're in like an alternate reality or something of Swellview. So like it's Jasper's like the superhero and Henry's the sidekick, and Jasper can fly, and he's got a mustache, and he's called like Captain Stash or something. Kind of corny, but it's still funny to see Jasper show off his fun acting skills. Or Sean Ryan Fox, the guy who plays him, and you know, he's flying around. And then Frankie Grande's brother. He's always played like a ongoing character in the show from the beginning, and it's usually a villain of some sorts. But he's not a villain in this. He's just the club owner. And he's got some song called Smile that he sings throughout the freaking movie. I swear to God, like 4 or 5 times. Sings the fucking song. So he's in the club, and they realize they're trapped in her book, and they don't know why. They don't realize like the vampire took the crystal yet. They don't know that's the reason. They just don't know why they're trapped, and they're just kind of trying to figure out how to get out of this situation. They're trapped in her book. They don't know how to get the rad. The rad's like stuck. It's like locked or broken or something. And because it's missing the crystal. And then so they try to find Schwaz, who she never knew who he was. Somehow she knows who Jasper and Charlotte and Jasper and Piper are, but she doesn't know who Schwaz was. But go figure, dude. Maybe Schwaz was never in public eye. I don't really know. Maybe it makes sense, because Schwaz kind of would always be in disguise when he went in public and shit in the show anyway, so maybe that's it, you know. But they look for a Schwaz who, in that reality, that multiverse, he doesn't exist or something. So somehow he does exist because they're in Swellview, and he appears to be like this like ex-con dishwasher guy, and so he kind of talks him into taking a look at the rad. He kind of figures, well, there used to be like a crystal here. I think that's why your shit's stuck. You need to get that crystal. They don't really know why or how it disappeared or what the fuck, you know. But they realize like they're missing a piece to it that's crucial to like them getting back home. And so Frankini pops in, and of course he's like, no, you guys gotta watch me sing. because he's all gay and everything, and he wants you to watch him sing. And so he fights with them over like, you know, the device, because he wants them to care more about him than the device, because they're like, we're just trying to fix this thing real quick before we go watch the show. Just relax. And so anyways, he ends up triggering it to like send them to another multiverse, right? And so now, because Frankini was touching the device, all three of them are like warped into another fucking dimension. In this dimension, they're in like a cartoon world, and this is another part of her like fantasy fiction, like, you know, imagination shit. So now they're in like a cartoon, and like Frankini is a cow, and they're riding through rainbows, and Henry's like, dude, like, how do we get out of this? Like, I don't want to be in this world because it's even like weirder. And so like they press the button again, and then they go into like another world where, which gets kind of funny. It's called the Syrup Wars or something. There's these Mounties, these three guys, dude, that are like riding some other big old three guys as like horses, all goofy, and they're just kind of like wanting to like start war. And it's because they have like Jasper and Henry and Missy have like a big like fucking thing of maple syrup or something, and I guess that's what the Canadians want. So these Canadian dudes are like talking all Canadian and shit, and they're kind of, it's really stupid and goofy, but it's a funny part of the movie. And they're trying to launch like rocks and arrows and things like that at Jasper and Henry. And so Jasper's kind of still Jasper, but he's in like another universe, right? So he's always trying to protect Henry, and I think Henry's starting to realize like Jasper's always got his back, kind of a thing. And pretty much somehow Schwoz is like in the story, and he shows up as the truck driver guy that she wrote about, but apparently doesn't know who Schwoz is. But somehow Schwoz, but whatever, it's a kid's movie, I guess, who cares. Somehow he's in the story again, and he talks all funny and like a pirate or something, speaks some weird fucking gibberish, you know, and Henry doesn't understand him, but Jasper does. So it's a little bit funny bit that they got going on with that. And like they're gonna like, okay, so the Mounties want to fucking come in, fucking take this maple syrup, but they trick them into letting them in so they can like hide, and then they like just pretty much like punch them all in the balls or something. And that's kind of like how they beat the Mounties. And then they like drench them in maple syrup, and they're just like all happy that they have maple syrup like all over themselves. So it's pretty like stupid and goofy. And then they're kind of like brainstorming, like, okay, like they got Schwoz, they got Jasper. How do we like get out of this situation again? How do we get back home? How do we get out of this book? And then they kind of, and then they realize that the sister had the whatchamacallit, because they were like pressing the button. I forgot to mention they did press the button, and they end up back in Newtown for a minute. And then Frankini gets bit by the vampire, and then she kind of like was wearing it as like jewelry, and they realized like, oh shit, she has the crystal, but how do we get it? But she was gonna bite them or something. And so was Frankini, because Frankini's a vampire now. And they still got Coach Craig fucking being all weird, trying to fucking beat him up and stuff. Coach Craig also has this thing where he like blows a whistle, and it like deafens you and like breaks all the glass and everything. It's like this supersonic whistle or something. So it's kind of interesting too. It's kind of a cool like superpower or something, or villain power that he like can do that, you know. So I don't know, if you see the movie, you'll see it and think it's cool. But anyways, they escape from that, and then that's when they realize like she's got the crystal around her neck, you know, like as a jewelry piece. And so they got to figure out how to get back there, get Jasper and Schwoz to like Newtown, so they could somehow save Missy's sister, who was kidnapped by the vampire that's Piper, because she kidnaps her little sister or something. Somehow her mother is never like, suppose she has a mom that works all the time, but she's like never in the movie. which is also odd or whatever. But anyways, they have this battle royale versus Coach Craig, Frankini, and Van Piper. Van Piper goes inside with the sister, and they all have like a big battle, right? They have like a big fight while Schwoz is trying to like, I don't know, he makes earplugs or something because like Coach Craig's whistle's always like deafening everybody, and they can't fight. And so he gets that, and he ends up like able to not be affected by the whistle, and then he breaks the whistle so that he can't use it anymore. And then so now all they got to do is get that crystal from Van Piper, right? So Missy somehow ignores Henry's instructions to stay outside, but she comes in to kind of like help him because he's pretty much about to get defeated by her. He got like his ass kicked by her. He tries to fight her, and she comes in and like takes on the Van Piper and stuff, and eventually gets bitten, but doesn't realize that Missy stole the crystal from her while they were fighting, even though she got bit. So she gives it to Henry so that Henry can give it to Schwoz and they can like reset the whole thing, right? But by doing so, she's going to become a vampire like any minute now. So he has to get away from her. And she does. She turns into a vampire. So now she wants to fucking, like pretty much turn, work for Vampire. She's like under her spell or something now. And now she just wants to turn Jasper and Schwoz and them, So she's kind of like the enemy now. Toward the end, because she's not herself or whatever. So it's kind of like getting, to the point where it's like getting all crazy and everything. And they get the crystal into the thing and he fixes it and was able to reset it in time before the vampires beat them. And everybody goes back home, right? And Missy learns all these lessons about her experience, I guess, and hopes to like talk to Henry about things because, they work. She knows he's alive now and where he lives, so she's trying to reach out to him. Meanwhile, Henry realizes through this whole journey, right, that he's got to he kind of realizes he's got to be there for Jasper, like, let him know that he's a good sidekick, he's a great friend and everything like that. And like, he actually tells him that he thinks he should take over as the main superhero for Dystopia, right? And so I guess Henry's saying that he wants to like start something new again, do something different, which you kind of will find out that it's to kind of work with this chick for some reason, this girl Missy. And he does return back to Newtown and he beats up the bullies that keep stealing her computers and whatever. And so he shows up with Schwoz and Jasper. They're like, "Oh, I've heard a lot about you." Just a sec. Yeah, they're like, "We've heard a lot about you, Schwoz and Jasper. Like, nice to meet you, And so she meets them, and then they tell her, like, "Hey, we think you're ready to, be a superhero." And Schwoz is going to build a fucking a headquarters for them like he did in, like, all the other shows, right? So they don't show it, but they're supposedly going to go to it and, like, start working on it, or they already kind of have it set up or something. So it's kind of like leading you to like there's maybe going to be another movie or another show or something, man. Maybe like a Paramount series with this girl, new sidekick. I don't know. And so anyways, they all kind of like fly back to wherever this place is and they don't show it. And it ends with them supposedly going to like fight some crime. And Captain Man's like, well, you don't know it's Captain Man. You just know some dude's like fucking shooting lasers at these robots that are drone robot thingies that are shooting lasers at him. And then he ends up like, like destroying all of them. And he comes out of the smoke and it's Captain Man, dun dun dun, Captain Man has returned, and which is weird because he retired after the Dangerverse series ended, and Dangerverse supposedly went on to work with Schwoz in their hometown, so that doesn't really make sense, right? But whatever. I mean, it's like to see where they go with that. Henry, but Henry sees Captain Man, and I guess Missy sees Captain Man for the first time, and then Captain Man kind of says this line where he's like, "It's been a while since I've seen you, but listen, kid, I need your help." So I don't know if there's going to be another spinoff with Captain Man, Henry, and Missy, and Schwoz. Maybe Jasper's not going to be continuing on because he's supposedly going into dystopia. Charlotte, Real Downs, she pretty much like left the franchise, dude. So a lot of people were kind of disappointed she wasn't in this movie because she was a huge part of the original story. She was kind of Henry's best friend, kind of thing. Jasper and Charlotte were like his neighbors and best friends that he knew since kindergarten. That's kind of like how it was in Nickelodeon when the show was first going. But Charlotte isn't going to be in this. She's not going to probably not be in another one. I have a feeling that's pretty much it for fucking Sean Ryan Fox too. I think he's probably supposedly, who knows, he'll make a cameo, but what the hell was this character? What is his fucking superhero name? Oh man. Hold on, let me look that up, dude. Give me a second, dude. Give me a second. Sorry, man. I'm fucking forgetting his character's name, dude. I don't think they really say his cast name. Never mind that. I mean, maybe it's Night Knight or something. I don't know. Either way, he's like some character that's gonna go on to dystopia pretty much and be his own star pretty much. So let's see what it says here. Captain Stash, Jasper Dunlop. I guess it doesn't really have a name. Then maybe they should have gave him one. Yeah, either way, he doesn't have a superhero name, I guess, but he's gonna be the blindfolded Spanish-speaking kung fu guy in dystopia. But yeah, I mean, the show's probably going to maybe have a series, maybe another movie. Captain Man might be in it. It's not going to have Charlotte or Jasper, I don't think. I think Schwoz is going to be in it, maybe even Piper. I think that's what they're going to do, man. Like I said, I've waited 3 years for this movie to come out. They announced that they were going to go into production, I think, January, I think it was 2022, I guess, dude. I have it on my Instagram, dude, when they first announced it, dude. I remember posting all the news about the making of this movie, and that was 3 years ago. So it finally was released, and well worth the wait. Great movie, great graphics, great production. I think Nickelodeon has many other reviewers. If you could check out other reviewers on this movie on YouTube, they'll admit that Nickelodeon put a lot of money into this movie. This is probably the closest they've gotten to high production value in a movie, dude. Obviously, I think the best movie they ever made was probably Good Burger. I don't know if you remember Good Burger from the 90s, but that's probably Nickelodeon's greatest movie other than SpongeBob movie, which is a cartoon. But this is one of a kind wise for Nickelodeon, I would say. And I think it's probably one of their best action movies, action adventure movies. It's probably their best one, most high produced one. Let me know if there's a better Nickelodeon movie, action adventure kids movie than this one. But yeah, I really like this movie. There was a part where they're in the Frankini kind of universe, and she, in her imagination, she made him a character called Lord Lolly or something, and he has to drink like celery juice, and then he turns into Lord Lolly, and it's real funny. He's just like a little rich British kid or something, and he has a big lollipop that he smacks people with. It's real stupid, dude, and kind of funny at the same time. And Henry's like hating that he has to do it because she's kind of like making him, because she always has this thing where she tells him, "Hero always answers the call," and like because he used to always say that when he was younger, and he didn't really like. He said it as a joke, but she believed it. Like I said in the beginning, like she didn't she didn't know how he really was in real life, so she would always like held that to him, and he felt like he had to like do what she was saying. You know, she told him like, "You got to do this for me. You got to do me this favor," and he's like, "All right, fine." So he's a cool guy to her. He ends up, I guess, I don't know, hiring her as a sidekick, because like when he was 13 or 14, that's when Captain Man recruited him. So I think this might be like a new generation. Maybe Nickelodeon might bring this girl into it. Her name is Glee Dango. She's only been in one other movie. She's a little Chinese girl, but she's very acrobatic and very talented. I've seen her do some videos where she's doing choreography of kung fu fighting and stuff, and she's a good actress, I guess, in this too. Like she played a very smart character, like actually convincingly smart. So I liked it. Henry Jace Norman did his thing, dude. Playing his character, Henry Hart. Dude, it's pretty funny, dude. Seeing him from like a little kid to like a grown man playing the same character, and doing it so well. Just thought this was a great movie. I highly recommend it. I had to do the stream by myself because the only other people I know watch this were our kids. So, but I think like, yeah, if you I guess if you have Paramount Plus and got some kids, they probably already watched this, because I think it's one of the top like kids shows from the last month, or movie, from the last month, if your kids are on Paramount Plus. But yeah, if you're looking for something for them to watch, dude, it's pretty good, dude, and they might get into the show and might want to binge watch all the episodes, dude. It's probably over 100 episodes of the Dangerverse, so definitely recommend the whole thing, dude. Recommend this movie. All right, guys, thanks for listening.